So last week I brought you guys a tutorial on how to do the forwards 3D weave. And I thought it was going to be a one-off, but then a good friend of mine reminded me that learning the reverse 3D weave can oftentimes be just as challenging as learning the forwards, even though the techniques are very, very similar. So he actually suggested to me that I do a follow-up video on the reverse 3D weave, and if I had time, that I do a little bit on how to turn between the forwards and the reverse 3D, which I think is an excellent suggestion. So to start off with, we're going to take the techniques from last week and bring them back and apply them to the reverse 3D weave. Now, the reverse 3D weave, if you just looked at the movement of the hands and the poi and say, you know, you have the person doing it against a black background and they were dressed all in black like a ninja, if that person were to move around the 3D weave, quite frankly, you wouldn't be able to tell whether they're doing it forwards or reverse. That's kind of the benefit of being in the audience, but it's not the same benefit if you happen to be the person who's executing it, right? So to start with, the most important thing I think I can recommend is that you spend some time doing some tic-tacs reverse, right? Now, reverse is going to feel very uncomfortable at first because the poi is always going to be looking like it's coming at you, right? A lot of people I know who have tried teaching the reverse 3-beat to have actually stopped turning reverse and started turning forwards as a result of how uncomfortable that feeling can be. And a couple tricks that'll help you kind of deal with that. Number one is a trick I like to do to kind of train myself in the different ways I can extend my body in order to make this little tic-tac here work. One of which is to stick my hand out as far away from my body as possible as I'm doing it, and then get my hand as close to my body as I can. And what you'll note is that the closer and closer you get it, the more it involves your body movement to keep it going. But also to do things like see how far to either side you can move your hand in the course of it and still keep it stable. How high you can move it, how low you can move it. Explore the range of options there, right? Once you get that down, you should be a little bit more comfortable with moving it around your body because you'll know how far you're able to move your hands in order to keep it going and also avoid hitting yourself in the process, right? You, of course, want to do this with both hands, exploring that full range of motion. So that you're comfortable with it, right? Once you get there, you get into our old-fashioned split time right here. And just as with the forwards weave, you experiment with crossing your arms over each other. Now the trick here is that, remember in the forwards weave, we always started this motion off by thinking about the hand that was going underneath, right? So if I was going to have my left hand go underneath first, I would imagine that, okay, my concentration is on initiating with my left hand, and then my right hand follows. When you're doing the reverse 3-beat, it's the opposite. So it's the hand on top that initiates. Once again, I'm going to start it off with my left hand because that's the one that feels most natural to me to begin this motion. For some reason, it's not the dominant hand that begins this motion. I'm really not sure why that is, but I'm sure there's a good biokinetic kind of explanation for it. So you're going to imagine, if you happen to be right dominant, that your left hand is going to reach for your right shoulder, and your right hand is going to go underneath. Again, left to the right shoulder, right to the left hip, like so. And you want to work it until you can do it 10 times relatively stably, right? If you're encountering the issue that the poi in your right hand is wrapping over your left hand as you do it, what that means is that you're not getting your right hand over the left-hand side of your body. If that's the case, really, like, as you're doing this motion, completely ignore what the left hand is doing. Think only of what the right hand is doing. If you focus just on that, it should make it a little bit easier for it to find its way through the motion. And again, you want to switch it up so that then your right hand has a chance to be on top as well. Once again, do it so you can get it 10 times stably. And then we'll go back to our other trick, which is starting from a place where you kind of have your arms crossed. And when we did this with the forwards weave, it was the hand on top that was rotating always, right? Now it's going to be the hand on bottom. So in this case, it's my left hand. As it's rotating reverse, my right hand is going to reach up, back, and underneath to my left-hand side. I'm going to keep it rotating. My left hand is now going to reach up, back, around, and underneath, and keep on rotating. Right hand, up, back, around, and underneath. Left hand, up, back, around, and underneath. If you look at this from the front, this is what it looks like. If I start off with my left hand rotating, my right hand goes up, back, around, cross to underneath. My left hand goes up, back, around, cross to underneath. Yeah? Between working through those two warm-up exercises, what you're going to wind up trying to get to is a place where you can cross one hand, cross the other hand, cross one hand, cross the other hand, and then get it so that you're constantly crossing. Just like with the forwards weave, you're always switching which hand is on top. Unlike the forwards weave, how you're switching which hand is on top is you're reaching the top hand underneath rather than the bottom hand over, if that makes any kind of sense. So if I were to really exaggerate this movement, it would look like this. You're always reaching back around behind your shoulder. Imagine that you're kind of throwing underhand every time you do this. And of course, you're going to run into that same problem where you're going to have a hand that kind of hangs out on the opposite side of your body and does an extra rotation as the one hand is going around underneath. And again, use this exercise, the one where one stays in one place and you reach the other one around, reach the other one around, reach the other one around, to kind of train your body how that feels. Now, once you have the reverse weave, and again, watch yourself here because it's going to feel a little bit weird with that ball, or the poi head always coming at you. And the more you can train yourself to kind of keep the poi as far as possible to each side will really help you keep out of the scary parts. But once you get to that point, you get to a point where you can turn between the forwards and the reverse weave. And as it so happens, this crossing exercise that we've done is a great way to figure out how to make that turn. So for me, the most comfortable way to turn from the reverse weave to the forwards weave is across my right side. And the most comfortable way for me to turn from the forwards weave to the reverse weave is across my left side. This, of course, is what we like to call a waist strap. It looks like this. Now, to get there, what you're going to do is you stand in the direction that it's going to present to. And you're going to decide, okay, I'm going to start off, say, going to the reverse side, right? Now, my arms aren't crossed like they would be if I were going to initiate it, but I can get them to that position. How? If I take my right hand, I'm going to reach around underneath, and I'm going to turn my body 90 degrees as I do so. Now I'm back in this really familiar position, and I can pull myself into the reverse weave with it, right? To get back out, note this moment when the right hand is reaching up, back, behind me, and underneath. Instead of reaching to underneath, you're going to let it stop when it reaches back. So you open up once again, yeah? Now, I'm going to turn towards the forwards weave on my right side. With my left hand, I'm going, once again, we can take it from this place of where we drilled the forwards weave last week by taking our left arm up, around, and over so that it crosses over to the right-hand side of my body. Note that when I make that switch, I'm changing the orientation of my body a full 90 degrees to point my left shoulder towards the camera, the mirror, the audience, what have you. So as my left hand goes over, I present that shoulder to the audience. Now my right hand can drop down, around, up, and over, and initiate into the forwards weave for me, right? Getting out of this one is a little bit trickier, but essentially what you're looking for is this moment when the left hand is reaching down, around, up, and over, and instead of going down, around, up, and over, you just let it stop open like this, yeah? So again, we turn to the left, we present the right shoulder and go into the reverse weave. I open it back up, and I take the left hand up and over, present my left shoulder, go into the forwards weave. I open up, my right hand goes under, present the right shoulder, go into the reverse weave, open up, left hand goes over, presents my left shoulder, and I go into the forwards weave, right? Okay, so how do we get this into an actual turn? Well, the easiest way I can think of it is to count down a few seconds as you're opening up. So say I start from open and I take it into the reverse weave and I open up 1 1000, 2 1000, 3 1000, over into the forwards weave. And I open up 1 1000, 2 1000, 3 1000. Okay, let's close it back up again. And when I open up, this time I only count 1 1000, 2 1000, and I'm back in. I open up, 1 1000, 2 1000, I'm back in. 1 1000, I go back in. 1 1000, I go back in. And eventually, you're going to be able to get it down to the point where you can say stop for a second and then immediately initiate into the other one. Count down like that, and eventually that turn across the center is going to feel totally natural to you. And what you're going to realize is that in so doing this turn, what it is you're taking this moment where on the forwards weave, when the right hand is reaching around underneath the left hand, it actually reaches all the way across the body. And likewise, in this moment, when the left hand is going, when the right hand is reaching underneath, you're going to have the left hand actually reach all the way across your body as it's coming to being the top hand in the reverse weave, yeah? So in each case, it's really the movement of the right hand that tells you what you need to do. When the right hand goes under, the left hand turns you. When the right hand goes under, you turn the other way, yeah? And this is what it looks like. Lovely, yeah? Sweet. Thank you guys for watching, and yeah, please send me some suggestions on next week's beginner tutorial. Have a great week, and I'll see you next Friday. Peace.